For many years, a young man named Yuma has been living a very boring life. The main character is afraid of everything around him and constantly hides from the problems that surround him. The young man entered the university after school. One day, Yuma said goodbye to his friend and headed home. At this moment, the main character falls into a deep pit that never existed. When a young man opens his eyes, he discovers that he has entered another world. A local king named Berg tells the main character and the rest of the people who got here that they are destined to become a vessel for their warriors. Berg calls the young guys the Chosen Ones. King Berg's subordinates bring the Chosen Ones to the altar for rituals. Each Chosen One goes through the ritual and receives his blessing from the gods. The main character receives the blessing of the goddess of healing. Yuma has the possibility of rebirth, which means that the young man is immortal. After the solemn blessing ceremony, all the Chosen Ones are taken to a banquet in honor of their arrival. In the process of a chic dinner, the main character gets acquainted with other favorites, a high school student named Akanashi who has gained fire skills. Student Shinki is a new fighter who will fight with the help of cold magic, and a high school student named Araki, who mastered Flora's magic. The next day, the main character was disturbed by a local priest. The man claims that Yuma's help is needed in the infirmary so that the guy can help heal the sick and wounded. Suddenly, the priest ties the main character to a chair. The man claims that his blood is very unique. At this moment, the priest cuts off the main character's hand and takes his blood. After a few seconds, Yuma's arm is restored. The main character wakes up in a small room. The young man realizes that during the experiment on his body, he lost consciousness. Yuma is scared of everything that happens around. The young man falls to the floor and begins to beg for help. At this moment, a portal opens and the young man enters a room in the middle of which there is an ancient tree. Yuma hears footsteps and realizes that they have already started looking for him. At this time, a detachment of soldiers of the church passes through a maze that is filled with various traps to find the main character. Yuma decides to run deep into the maze and stumbles upon many deadly traps. He gets fatally wounded every time, but with the help of his ability he remains unharmed. Unfortunately, Yuma feels all the pain. The main character finds himself in another empty room. The young man becomes hysterical and begins to cry. At this moment, the pursuers manage to catch up with the Chosen One. The squad attacks the escapee, but Yuma miraculously manages to escape. When the main character decides to rest a little, the young man suddenly hears the voice of an unfamiliar girl. He manages to find her and Yuma realizes that she is just as much a test subject as he is. The stranger's name is Eva. The girl is immobilized because of hoses that constantly suck her blood. It turns out that Eve is an ancient vampire. The main character decides to help a new friend and gives her a drink of her unique blood. Eva opens her wings and takes the main character in her arms. They fly to the exit. When the vampire and the young man manage to break through the soldiers of the church, the girl promises Yuma to be his bodyguard until the main character finds a way to return to his world. The next morning, Yuma wakes up on the shore of a lake in which Eva is bathing naked. The main characters go to the big city to hide in the crowd and get enough food. To earn money, the couple goes on a monster hunt to sell their bodies to the guild. Yuma gets very scared when he sees monsters up close, but Eve easily kills them. The vampire offers the guy to get to her old friend, who owns a great hotel. The main characters manage to get to their destination quickly. The hotel looks like an abandoned house. Ghosts are flying inside it and the whole design was created in the style of Halloween. The next morning, the main character realizes that a ghost has become attached to him, who always flies next to him. Eva gives him a special pendant in which she sealed this spirit. The vampire claims that he will help protect the young man from evil spirits. The couple takes a job at the local adventurers guild and go to the forest to complete it. While hunting monsters, Yuma is attacked by a little boy ghoul. Eva discovers the loss of her partner and goes to his aid. At this moment, the young man manages to use magic and the main character creates a portal that helps him get out of a dangerous situation. During the battle with the ghoul, Eva realizes that this little boy was subjected to cruel experiments by the church staff. She blames the owner of the ghoul, who controls him, for this, but he claims that it is for the good of humanity. In the end, the main characters manage to kill the owner of the ghoul. They take a little boy with them and take him to the hotel. On the way to his place of residence, suddenly, Yuma faints. The next morning, the main character regains consciousness and goes to examine the body of the injured ghoul. It turns out that the little boy still hasn't regained consciousness. Yuma understands that from now on, all the priests and warriors of the church will be looking for him. Eva and Yuma continue to have a good time within the hotel. During the morning tea party, the main characters are approached by a hotel owner named Debbie's. The man says that a horde of deadly monsters was discovered in the local forest, controlled by a mighty lich. Eva tells the reason why the ghoul does not regain consciousness. It turns out that he needs a master who can take him under his control. The lich that attacked the forest is suitable for this. The vampire wants the lich to take possession of the ghoul and then take the monster for himself. The main characters manage to find the lich and they ask him to talk. The leader of the monsters denies the couple this and calls them unbalanced. After these words, Eva goes into a rage and attacks the lich. During the fight, Yuma and Eva are separated. A young guy meets a giant zombie child on his way. At this moment, a lich and a vampire approaches Yuma. It turns out that the man did not create these monsters, but wanted to seal them so that they would pack up and not harm humanity. After the lich has finished his ritual, the main character asks for help. Yuma asks the man to subdue the little ghoul so that he regains consciousness. The lich comes to the hotel and sees that he knew this boy at the time when he himself was the Holy Father. The man says that one day he saw his colleagues doing various experiments on the body of this young man. The lich flew into a rage from what he saw and began attacking his former allies. During the battle, the man was severely wounded and dumped into a pit in which lay a huge number of corpses of little orphans who were brutally used in experiments on people. Lich says that he has been lying in the corpses of children for a very long time. He became very angry at the church staff and dreamed of taking revenge on them for the deaths of innocent children who were left without parents. After this incident, the man turned into a kind of deadly lich. Eventually, the lich managed to take control of the ghoul's mind, but the man refused to transfer control to Eve. Suddenly, Debbie's feels that unknown people are trying to invade the hotel. The owner of the hotel decides to activate the protection and an impenetrable fog appeared around the hotel. These were the other chosen ones who came into this world with Yuma. Araki managed to dispel the fog and find the hotel where the main character was hiding. A struggle ensued between Lich Calcium, Eve, and the chosen ones. At this time, Yuma found a plant in his room that teleported him to an unknown direction. Yuma woke up on the bed. He was surrounded by his friends Akanashi and Shinki. The guys think that the vampire controlled the main character. That's why the guy resisted and ran away. Araki came to the local library to find information about monsters in the church. Suddenly, the girl stumbles upon a secret passage and descends into the basement. Araki believes that there may be answers to her questions. At this time, the main character is brought to the high priest of the church named Richt. The man heard rumors that the main character is able to use ancient magic. Richt takes away the ghostly pendant from the young man, thereby provoking him to show his abilities. The high priest is amazed by the power of the protagonist and decides to tell the whole truth about the ancient magic that Yuma possesses. Richt claims that the powers possessed by the main character were awakened personally by the goddess of healing. The man hands Yuma a special key, with which the young man will be able to find out the whole truth about himself and ancient magic. After the high priest has left, the main character decides to use a strange artifact that a man gave him. At this time, Eva and Calcium infiltrate the central church in which the protagonist is imprisoned. They manage to deceive the guards by posing as important guests. Eva manages to get close to the room where her friend is. She sees Yuma sleeping in a huge hand. The main character has a strange dream. At one point, Eva awakens the young man and he goes into shock. The main characters discuss the guy's dream. Yuma wants to comprehend the power of the main element of ancient magic called magi. Eva warns that he will have to go through a difficult and painful ordeal in which he can suffer greatly. At that time, Calcium managed to find the secret documents of the church. He studied them and realized that the members of the church want to destroy all kinds of magi, thereby eliminating all monsters around the world. Thus, the only human race will remain on the planet. As a former prominent Holy Father, Leech understands that if the church's plan works, then all of humanity will very quickly cease to exist. Calcium decides to destroy this place in order to prevent the villains from implementing the plan. Suddenly, the Lich is attacked by the head priest, who controls the deadly puppets. A fierce fight begins between the men. During the battle, Calcium sees that Yuma was able to awaken magi and became incredibly strong. Eva tells Lich that the guy has decided in the affirmative that he is ready to become a powerful magician. Calcium and the vampire watch the fight between Yuma and the priest who attacked the Lich. The main character manages to gain the upper hand, but the puppeteer uses his superpower. The man transforms into a strong puppet and attacks the young man. The main character realizes that he will no longer be able to control magi and decides to dive into it completely in order to destroy the enemy. Yuma's body is possessed by magi. In this image, the main character easily defeats the puppeteer. A young guy wants to deliver a fatal blow, but at the last moment Eva stops him. Unfortunately, Yuma does not obey the vampire and Magi continues to control his body. At this moment, Calcium comes to the rescue and releases the little ghoul. The monster manages to immobilize the main character and Eve penetrates into his consciousness. At this moment, the young man regains consciousness and immediately falls asleep. Calcium claims that the church is hiding something terrible and Yuma, Lich and Eve will have to find out about everything. Do you want to continue? Write in the comments and like. I love you.